Without further ado, I'm going to reintroduce Brooke Sokoloff Adams, who works at Holyoke Community College as their Director of Student Development. Brooke, I want to make sure I got your title right. And Brooke is going to be talking a little bit about their Success Ambassadors and Scholar programs, some of the importance around language. So, Brooke, thank you so much for joining us today and for all of your expertise that you'll share with the community. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. You got it all perfect. I was listening to you, Annemiek, speak, and I wish I had the entire time because every point is so important, and I have so many anecdotes. So I'm going to talk fast because I was raised in the South. I've got some good Midwestern roots, and I now live in the East. So hang on, and if you have questions, you can reach out to me afterwards. I'm older, and so I prefer phone communication. You can call me anytime, but also if you want to email me, I did just put it in the chat a little bit earlier. So allow me to introduce my program. I am, I, I started at Holyoke Community College in the spring of 22, and they said, orientation for your mentors is in 3 days. Good luck. And so we have really built this program, my staff and I together since I got here, and it is so exciting to share it with you. So we are called the Student Ambassador Mentorship Program. We serve women, non-binary, and transgender students who fall within categories that are mandated by our funder, so the state of Massachusetts. So we serve students who are first in their family to attend college, low-income individuals, individuals with disabilities, LGBTQ folks, and folks of color. And so language is important. You notice that when I introduced who we serve, I said we serve women, non-binary, and transgender students. When the program rolled out before I got here, an email went out to all female identified students that said, welcome, you're part of a women's mentoring group. It did not go well. They sent that to a lot of trans men and a lot of non-binary people who were marked female at birth. So then we transitioned to women, non-binary, transgender students. That didn't go well either because homophobia. And so people were not referring to our program because they thought it was only for queer students because it had the word non-binary transgender in it. Students didn't want to be involved because they were like, I'm not gay, don't include me in your stuff. And so then we transitioned to we serve all students except cisgender men. And well, that didn't go over. So we're back to serving women, non-binary, and transgender students. And we just, we fight the stereotypes, and here we are, we're doing okay. So we have changed who we serve quite a bit over the years, but we currently serve our scholars who have a minimum of are enrolled in a minimum of 6 credits. So they have to be a degree seeking or a certificate seeking student, and they have to have a minimum 1.75 GPA. That's just because if they are at a 1.75 or below, they're already on probation and working with someone else really intensely to get off probation. So other than that, no requirement for a GPA. They could be a 4.0 student and still be involved. Our ambassadors, our paid mentors, have to have a 3.0 or above. We recognize this is a big job, and we have seen over and over again that students with below a 3.0 can't actually sustain their GPA and do this job because we do a cohort style of mentoring. So each one of my mentors has 20 or more mentees. And then they have to be enrolled in a minimum of 6 credits. They must have also taken at least 6 credits. So they had to have been a student to mentor incoming students. Next slide, please. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about what is it like to have a cohort of paid mentors. So because we pay our mentors, we are able to give them more than one mentee. So we pay them, or actually, let me start with how the program's structured. So we have 3 success coaches. Those are full-time staff members who work with all of our, what we call ambassadors, our mentors. They meet with their mentors weekly to talk about how their caseloads are going. Each mentor in our program has 20 scholars or mentees. We changed the language from mentor to mentee because there's too much power in that language. And we wanted to also recognize that mentees can teach mentors, and because there's so much stigma with the word mentor too, especially when serving students of color and communities of color, or communities that have been disenfranchised. And so we got rid of that language because people were like, I don't need a mentor. I'm not some urban kid. Like we faced a lot of that. And so we said, all right, you're an ambassador and you are a scholar. Welcome. You're our newest scholar in our program. And that comes across in a much more positive and powerful way than welcome, you've been admitted into a mentee program. And so we have each one of our mentors serving 20 students, and that means that they're busy and they have a lot to do. And so let me get into a little bit about these bullet points. I recommend not going through HR if you don't have to with your student employees. We don't go through HR with our federal work study students here. We have with our ambassadors thus far, because we sorry check them. We do these intensive background checks on them because they might be interacting with a 17-year-old student. We don't know. And so that is really cumbersome. We're currently redoing our program to see if we can get away from that. Pay them enough money so that they want to do the job and that they don't get a second job. That is something that's really important. This is our number one equity piece for our students, is paying them. We recognize that if they don't get the 15 hours, so they're paid $15 an hour for 15 hours a week, and if they're not getting, say their mentees aren't wanting to meet this week and they've only logged 10 hours, if they don't get consistent payment, they're going to go somewhere where they can get consistent payment. And so that brings us back to how we help them get those 15 hours. We have a place called the Success Center, which is just for our SAMP students. And we tell our students, if you have done all of your mentoring duties this week and you are not to 15 hours, we want you to go sit in the Success Center and do your homework. And we will pay them to do that, because if they are in the Success Center and a new scholar walks in looking for help or looking for friendship or even just looking for some snacks, they have someone in there who is well trained on all of those things. And it makes it look like a popular place when I have 10 mentors hanging out in there over lunch because they're trying to get their hours. And so that has been a huge help for us. And it has really cut down on the amount of our ambassadors getting second jobs, which takes them further and further away from our job. Because unfortunately, they can go get a gas station job paying $17.50, and we're only paying $15 an hour. So that's another thing. We're trying to increase the amount we pay them. And then, so we help them max out those hours. What happens if you lose funding? I'll come back to that. Because I know I only have like 5 to 7 minutes, right, Jess? Okay, yeah, I'm already behind. So let's go on to the next slide, and I'll talk a little bit. Our lovely student. Okay. So I want to talk, before I go on to any of these bullet points, more on the equity piece. So we use who are our ambassadors and who are our scholars. So I've already listed the 5 categories at which all of our students fall within. And still, we recognize that some students come to us, some students with more privilege come to us more than others who have been more disenfranchised. And so we have a recommendation form out there we send around to everyone, every program, every professor on the college. And guess how many students of color we get through that recommendation form? Almost 0. We get only white students being recommended to us because everyone has an internal bias. And I cannot be running a program full of white mentors and student mentees of color. That doesn't serve anyone. And so it's really important to us that we are using data as an equity tool so that we are monitoring what populations are in our mentee pool. Do we have, how many students with disabilities do we have? How many students on Pell Grant do we have? How many students of color, Hispanic, Latina? And we're making sure that our mentor pool fits that population. So every semester when we go out to recruit, we see what populations do we need to fill first that we don't currently have on our mentor roster. There's not been one term here where we had to actively recruit white students, whether that was white students with disabilities, white students in LGBTQ. We know that those students are naturally coming to us, and they're getting interviews and they're coming to us quick. And so it is my coach's job to reach out to student lists that aren't hearing about us, that aren't coming to us naturally, and say, hey, you qualify for this prestigious opportunity on campus, and we want to help you apply and get there. Another piece where if you're going through the HR system, we are currently revamping it where we get to have an online application that we design for the student and interview with our team first. Then we offer the position to the student, depending on a positive sorry check, and then we help them go through the HR process. We were recognizing it took our students sometimes 3 months to get through all of the HR forms before I could write them a contract. And that was really cumbersome. So let's see. There's so much on these slides. I'm just looking at your questions over here too, Jess. What advice would you give to someone who doesn't currently have paid mentors and how to get started? I would start at capacity. Paying your mentors, it helps you build capacity and so fast. Being able to say, I have 25 student leaders that serve 500 students, it not only capitalizes on all of the time of my professional staff to recruit 25 students instead of 500 students for a one-to-one match, it helps everyone use their time to serve all of our students better, and it helps us reach more students. I would just start the campaign of why it's useful and how you can slowly get there. It doesn't have to be full out hour-to-hour payment. It could start out with $500 stipends or bookstore stipends or some sort of paid leadership training. And then you can get up to hopefully getting them fully paid mentorships someday. So I'm gonna stop there because I know I'm already over my time and I get so passionate about this. So I will just pause.